Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far, and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be trying out, comparing and giving you all of my thoughts on this new Tom Ford Traceless Soft Matte Concealer. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so this concealer dropped a few days ago. I got mine on Friday, I think mine arrived, and I've been trying it out over the last few days. So I've got some pretty good thoughts together for you. Today I am going to be doing a side-by-side test with my current favorite, which is the Dior reformulated Forever Skin Correct. So we'll do a side-by-side and see which we like better. From this position, do you have a guess? Do you know which one's which? Do you know which one looks better? Write your guesses in the comment section before we get started. No cheating, okay? No cheating. So this new concealer from Tom Ford will set you back £46 and it is available in 20 shades. That is a little more affordable, slightly, than their previous concealer. I love this one. This is the Shade and Illuminate concealer. So they're now gonna have a concealer to go with each of their foundations. The Shade and Illuminate foundation is my favorite foundation of all time. It's the foundation I have on today and I love it. So it was nice to know what my shade was going to be in this one. I just picked the same shade as I have in the Shade and Illuminate concealer, which is a really nice, perfect shade for me in winter, which is 2W1 Taupe. Now the Shade and Illuminate obviously very different to this one, mostly with the finish. The Shade and Illuminate has an illuminating finish and the Soft Matte obviously has a soft matte finish, as you would expect. You do get a bit more, 5.4 mils in the liquid, more typical concealer, and much bougier glass packaging, like the bougiest concealer I think maybe other than the Chanel that I own. Very heavy, very solid, very bougie packaging to match their foundation. And in the new concealer stick you get 3.5 grams, which is fairly small. You know, when you compare it to the Cle De Peau stick concealer, which is 5 grams, 3.5 seems a little stingy. But having said that, it is a stick concealer and I think it will last you a very long time. As I said, I've tried this a few times so far and you use the tiniest amount, definitely less than a typical liquid concealer. So yeah, I think that you will not necessarily run out of this any sooner than you will a typical liquid concealer that has more product, because you do use a very small amount of this. Very easy to control the application, but you also just don't need as much. So this concealer from Tom Ford claims to have the hydrating properties of a skincare product and the smoothing effect of innovative makeup technologies. It is the perfect choice for evening out your tone where you need it most, and it contains hyaluronic acid to provide 12-hour hydration, while spherical powders guarantee effortless application. The packaging is very similar, it almost matches the soft matte primer. It's a little different to the foundation, which is surprising because the previous concealer matched the foundation of the same name, so I would have thought this would look more like the foundation, but it's more like the primer. In fact, it is that sort of brown plastic, very chic, very understated, with just a very subtle gold Tom Ford logo on there. And the stick itself is quite nice and narrow. It does have that round tip, and I wondered how easy that was going to be to get down the bridge of your nose and get really close to the eye. And it's not as easy as a sort of slanted, pointed doe foot, I'll say that, but I didn't have, you know, real issues. I found it quite easy to use and to place and very easy to control the amount of product. But I will say that the packaging definitely doesn't feel at all as bougie as the Shade and Illuminate, and also it doesn't feel as bougie and weighty and luxurious as the Dior, which is that glass bottle, which I would have preferred. But it's not bad. It's very handbag friendly, and I think that's who this is going to suit. It's going to suit someone on the go. It's going to suit someone who just wants to do touch-ups and tap a concealer in and slip this in their handbag. It's much more sort of travel and on the go touch-up friendly, I think. So shade wise, I picked up 2W1 Taupe, which is the shade I knew I would do well with because that is the shade I use in the Shade and Illuminate. But I do think that the liquid Shade and Illuminate concealer pulls a little deeper and a little more olive than the more neutral shade of the same name in the stick concealer. So that might be something just to be aware of, that I don't necessarily think that the shades are going to be exactly the same. I don't think these two are. What do you think? I'm also going to swatch it next to the Dior, which is the shade 2N, definitely much lighter. Then swatch the Huda in the shade Coconut Flakes. I'm going to zoom in a second, I promise you. And finally, the Pat McGrath in the shade 9. So there you go. Remember, this is the liquid and then the cream. Definitely think the cream is lighter and more neutral than the liquid shade Taupe. What do you guys think? Okay, so that is all the information I think you need. Let's have a look at these two concealers under my eyes and see, do I have a new favorite? Is this going to give the Dior a run for its money already? Do we already have a new Holy Grail in 2023? Let's find out. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the Tom Ford side. I am wearing the Tom Ford foundation, the shade Illuminate, today in the shade Shell Beige. And you can see this is the perfect shade for me. It's like a bit lighter than my foundation, but it's not crazy light under there. And it's also a nice neutral undertone, which is strange because this is like, says it's a warm shade, but I've always found as good as as much as I like the undertones of Tom Ford's foundations and concealers, I always find the undertones, like this is definitely a neutral undertone to me. Maybe it's got some warmth to it, but it's not what I would consider a warm undertone, but it is like the perfect shade for me. So I'm using my BK Beauty A506, that's the Angie Hot and Flashy, my favourite concealer brush, I think. I really like this one. What I've found about this concealer, just using it over the weekend, is it takes zero work. You could easily just tap this in with a finger, so it's going to be ideal for touch-ups, putting in your handbag, you know, on the go, because you really don't need, you know, a brush or a sponge. It's really, really very easy to just touch it into the skin. It's so easy to blend, and it really takes such a small amount to cover what I need as well. And I find like as I'm applying it, it's just literally blurring and smoothing everything. I find it very, very blurring. So I've just added a bit of the Dior, which is my current top spot concealer, on the other side, because I want us to be able to compare the two under eye situations. And I do find this one feels lighter and more hydrating. It definitely takes a little bit more blending, but it doesn't take a lot of blending. It's just that the Tom Ford takes such little amount of work that it definitely takes a little longer to blend this one in. And this is definitely a brighter and lighter shade, because the Dior shades were just a bit trickier, and I obviously knew what my Tom Ford shade was because I have concealers from the brand prior. So I'm going to set both of these under eyes with my same Pat McGrath powder, as I always do. Okay, so let's check out the close-up. This is the Tom Ford, this is the Dior side. Very similar amount of coverage. I do feel that the Tom Ford looks smoother to me. What do you guys think? I feel like there's definitely a smoother, more blurred appearance to this eye than the Dior, which is intriguing. Let me finish up my makeup and we'll give these concealers half an hour to like set down and just start to move if they're going to, crease if they're going to, and see how they look once everything is finished. Okay, so I finished up the rest of my makeup and I've just been giving these under eye situations a real close-up look in my mirror, and to me they are very close as far as the amount of coverage, but they are a little different in finish. So the Dior definitely looks a bit more luminous and the Tom Ford looks a little more matte. Very, very close, very, very like tiny difference between the two, but I definitely can notice that. And I also still feel like the Tom Ford looks smoother on my under eye. The Dior still has that hydrating feeling there, that really nice, cool, fresh, light under eye feeling, which the Tom Ford doesn't have, but it isn't heavy either, but I can kind of feel that I'm wearing concealer. So it's not a heavy concealer, but in comparison to the Dior, I can feel a difference as well there. So I'm really nice and close now, so hopefully you can see there's no creasing or settling or separating on either side, but for me, the Tom Ford side is definitely looking a little smoother, and that partially is probably because of the finish. You know, a matte finish, it's reflecting less light, so that may be what the difference is. But the Dior side I think looks brighter and more awake and luminous, whereas the Tom Ford side looks smoother, I feel like, and just more flawless. What do you guys think? I mean, they're both looking pretty good, I'll say that. So as I said, I have had this concealer for a few days and I've given it a few goes now, and I'm definitely getting to know and love it. I find it very smoothing and refining and just blurring under the eye area, which is amazing. I love that. I love that you need such a small amount and it's so quick and easy to blend in and just whack it on wherever you need and tap with a finger and you are good to go. I prefer to use a brush, but you easily can just a couple of taps and this melts into the skin. When this first arrived, I already had makeup on and it'd been like a day, and I just kind of whacked it on just to see if the color worked and just to kind of get some first impressions. And I just did that. I literally just swiped a bit under my eye and tapped in, and it was absolutely perfect and very smooth. And that was the first thing I noticed, was how smooth my under eye area looked. So I really loved that. It wears really nicely. It doesn't crease or settle or separate throughout the day, and it's given me a good solid 8 hours of wear. That's about as long as I have tested this one out so far, so I am going to keep testing it. It's too close. My roundup, my January roundup has already been filmed, so I won't update you on this in my January roundup because it will be like tomorrow, but I will give you my really extensive thoughts over the next few weeks in my February roundup on this one. As far as which one I prefer, that's going to be a bit of a work in progress. At the moment, I'm tempted to think that the Tom Ford might overtake the Dior just because of that smoothing factor. Like, that is really impressing me. But this one does feel lighter and more hydrating and fresher under the eye. So this is definitely going to be, this is the first day I've kind of tried them side by side. Or back to back. So I definitely want to keep on playing around with these two. And again, I will try and answer that question as soon as I've made a decision. But it's definitely giving the Dior a run for its money already, which is what happened last time. Every time I get a new Holy Grail concealer, I feel like another one just comes along and knocks it straight down. But I mean, it's good to know that concealers are just getting better and better, isn't it? So please let us know if you have tried this new Tom Ford concealer, how you got along with it and what your thoughts are in the comments section down below. I hope you found this video helpful and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.